to them.
All right,
Chrystal, it's all you.
Oh, perfect. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me okay? Good. All right, good morning. Good morning. I'm just going to dive right in. We have about 48 minutes, so I just will go right into it with you all. So I know when we hear AI, you're like instantly like either you love it or you don't. It's not for me. One thing I want to talk about today is it's not about coding, it's about clarity. If you're running a business, making decisions, juggling 5 roles at once, AI is not a nice to have, it's a power move. It's a must have. And I'm here to teach you about it, and not in a tech way, but how you can leverage it. So a little bit about me. My name is Chrystal Graves. I have been an entrepreneur for 16 years. I've worn every hat. I started with a one-chair salon, scaled it to a 5-person salon. We ran a 15-person wedding group that went across the country. I scaled that and built the first salon suites and sold it in 2023 and founded Liquid. Liquid is the AI assistant for hairstylists. And that came from, I coached about 300 salon owners across the nation, and they were hiring me and paying me $600 to make decisions alongside of them and for them, but I didn't have the needed data. So as a non-tech person in 2022, I dove into working with ChatGPT, learned about what it could do, formulated this idea, and founded the company in May of 2023. And if you've ever built tech, it is a slow process, but we have about 500 people on platform, and we're getting ready to launch V2 of our platform April 1st. So if you know a hairstylist, a barber, esthetician that needs help with decisions, send them our way. So I am big on setting intentions. So I believe that when we set an intention, we know where we're starting, and that helps us get to the next space. So my intention today is to not use a bunch of tech lingo. It is to show you how you can use AI to reduce your mental load. I want to walk through how we create an agent or a custom GPT to basically be you and to be on autopilot, and you can start from there. So I want you all to set an intention for yourself. Think about what is the biggest struggle right now when it comes to AI, or even honestly, what is the biggest struggle when it comes to running your business? I want you to write it down, jot it in your mind, because when you finish, there's going to be a lot of information, but if you can come back to that intention, that helps us actually apply a thing. So I know y'all all know that business is moving faster. It's People want honest replies very quickly. Social media never sleeps, and we're juggling it all. AI helps you reach where you want to go faster. It helps you clear the fog, and it sharpens the decisions that you make with less stress. So I want to ask everybody to just drop in the chat. I'll be able to see it later. How many of you with a thumbs up have used some sort of AI, whether it's ChatGPT or it's an integrated tool like Gemini in your Google Workspace? And then a thumbs down if you have not yet tried it, but you're super excited about it. Either way, no matter where you are, the real problem is most people don't know where to start. There are a lot of tools out here, and some of them are complicated, and then some of them are not as complicated, but you feel like what it's giving you is super generic. What I also found is people get stuck. They're like, there's so many things that don't really necessarily give you guidance. And I know everybody probably has used ChatGPT in some way, shape, or form. And you're like, okay, it's great, but it kind of can be all over the place. So my goal today is to talk about not just the tools, but the system. So a lot of times we have a tool, but we don't have a system that works with that tool in the area of what we're going to do today, which is you're going to create your first custom GPT or agent. Those things and phrases often are used interlinking, but really it's the same thing. An agent you mostly see in a software that does specific things when it goes back to pull code. So we're going to think about this AI as your business partner. It's not a tech assistant that just spits out ideas for you. It is talking like you talk, understands what matters to you in your business. It's going to help you be consistent, and it's going to be the one place that you go for a very specific topic each time. So if you're using ChatGPT now and you're just using it in the mainframe, every time you come in, it doesn't remember most of the things, but we'll dive deeper into that. So you're probably like, okay, Chrystal, what's an agent? What's a custom GPT? An agent is an assistant. You helps with a specific task or decisions within specific tasks without needing for you to do any of the thinking. It learns from the information that you give it, and then it figures out the best way to help you, and then it takes action on its own. So it's not a typing input that gives you an output. It actually goes further than that. And that's where the shift kind of comes in thinking. When we talk about the tools, agents anticipate your needs. They are trained, not typed. A custom GPT is tailored to a specific task. So it learns your style, it learns your language, it learns the business needs. And over time, it becomes more efficient in saving you time, and it makes smarter solutions even when you're not thinking about it. So you might put something in and it's going to take into consideration a bunch of things before it spits out an answer. And it's going to be very tailored to you and the specific job that you have. What I find is, again, most people look at this tool, GPT, as a one-hit wonder. Like, write me a caption, write me an email, respond to this text message. That's not a strategy. That's just basically one-off, and every single time you're kind of going back and doing the same thing. And unless you are putting in custom prompts, it's really not catered to you. And most of us, haven't been really taught what all goes into a custom prompt. And we're going to dive into that. But I like to give real life examples. Now, all my real life examples will be in the area of hairstylists because that's the world that I live in. So you can insert what you do in every single space and get that. So somebody opens up ChatGPT, and the first thing they're going to say is, write me a cancellation policy. Somebody didn't show up, write me a cancellation policy. Great, it writes one. But it doesn't know anything about her pricing. It doesn't know her boundaries. It doesn't know her goals. It doesn't know what or if she's told the client anything beforehand. It's not really supporting her. It's giving her a half-baked answer. And if the client comes back and be like, well, I didn't know this or that, it really didn't look at all the things that she already had in place. But what happens when you have a custom GPT that is literally around a specific area? It might be around her policies, her booking. It's going to know her vibe. So it's actually going to spit out an answer that is really catered to her. It's going to talk about her booking flow. It's going to give her a cancellation policy. But the next step is it's also going to say, hey, do you want to put this somewhere on your website? Hey, would you like me to also write how you respond to this person if they rebuttal that they're upset? Or it might say, have you created a form where they agree to this cancellation policy? So it's going to go further than just that generic answer. It's going to create the entire system that syncs with the strategy that actually helps you. So context for creating a custom GPT is the game changer. So if you don't have context when you are using ChatGPT, it's just guessing. It's literally being trained on every single person that's using it. It's going out to Google and it's giving you the best guess that really may or may not fit what aligns with you. The voice may or may not be yours. Honestly, it may or may not be accurate. Sometimes they can actually have hallucinations, which basically means a ChatGPT can spit out something that looks and feels like, oh my God, that's super correct, but it's actually not. So if you're using it for anything around financial data or anything that truly matters that's not creative, you want to actually check that output and say, hey, can you double check to make sure that your math is correct? Can you double check to make sure that this information is correct? Now, there are a lot of tools that actually work better than ChatGPT to do this. One of my favorite ones, if you're looking for facts, is something called Perplexity. We won't dive into that, but ChatGPT is really for creatives. And then if you make a custom GPT, it can dive more into having a grounding. And when I say grounding, that means like how you've taught it in more of a factual manner. So it helps you like not have the context or chaos. So one of the things I want to talk about is something called the SCQA. And this is a thinking model. So consultants, CEOs use it, and now you will too. And I will give you all access to, if you actually, I'll say, if you email me at crystal@liquidhairinstitute.com, I will give you access to all these slides so you can kind of dive into what that means. But the SCQA is a way to think smarter, especially when it comes to prompts and training your custom GPT. It's asking several questions. The S is like, what is going on? What is in the way of what's going on? What's the key question? And what do you need to do to move next? You're going to use this every time you build a prompt for ChatGPT. Now, that sounds super complicated, but I'm going to walk you through what that looks like in a real life scenario. And we're going to talk about how to build your own custom GPT. I'm going to show you one that I've built, and it's going to be super simple. And the biggest thing when we do this is it's going to be that you don't need real code. And it's going to be, you just need to know a lot about you. And you're going to define the job. You're going to feed it what it needs. You're going to train it so it sounds like you. And you're going to not have to babysit the answer. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quick. And I'm going to share a different screen so I can show you all my custom GPT. And I'll show you, I'll go back a little bit so I can show you all like where you would start to create one. So if you have, let's go back. So if you have ChatGPT, you're going to go to Explore GPTs. And my computer is moving really slow. Okay, when you get to Explore GPTs, these are all custom GPTs that have been made that you can use. So there's one for Expedia, there's a web generator. People make their own and then they give them out to people. So a business idea, say you are someone who does marketing. You can make a custom GPT like the one I'm going to show you, and then you can share it with people who pay you, right? So that if they can't get directly to you, it's like having you in your pocket. So ultimately, really with what Liquid did is Liquid, not on GPT, I actually built a proprietary large language model or custom GPT that is a full-fledged assistant for business in a hairstylist pocket, and they pay a monthly fee for that. Like I said, we have about 600 users on platform. So you're going to go to create, and then when you go to create your GPT, you are going to configure it in every way that you want. So the things that we talked about from the SCQ are going to go in here. I'm not going to dive super deep, but because everybody is different, but I'm going to show you where you would plug these in and how I did it for the hairstylist. But it's going to have a name, it's going to have a description, it's going to have instructions, it's going to have those starter conversations, which I'll show you, and then it's going to have a knowledge base. So you'll be able to create this. I don't know if you can do this if you have a free GPT account, but I do know you can do it if you have a pro, and it's well worth the $20, hands down. So I'm going to show you the one that I created. So this one is used for hairstylists who want to know things around profit. So it's their profit assistant. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to show you kind of how I configured this one. So the whole thing is that this hairstylist assistant is going to help you do better and create the life that you want within it. Within the configuration, the name here is what someone would see when they're searching for a GPT. So if a stylist, or if you're using it, it's a hairstylist profit assistant. The description, it's a business assistant that helps a stylist be successful. It's trained on things around profit, strategy. I am big on like no fluff. So it gives very concise answers. It talks about pricing, upselling, client retention, policies, and leadership. What I have in here are the instructions. So remember when I talked about what the SCQAs, those are the things that I have put in here. So I told it what its job is. I told it what it should not do. Don't be generic, don't have aggressive sales, and focus on clarity, empowerment, and education. I wanted it to keep the answers short and concise. The thing is, I did not want to overwhelm the users. What's really cool is I use this GPT to actually as a marketing sales tool. So if someone asks a question, at the end of every question, it spits out, you can actually join our free community. So it'll have a link where they can actually join the free community, which then puts them into our Facebook group, which is also connected to our email list, which now they're in my sales funnel. So you can put in things like that. It has a tone. It also has what to avoid. No generic things. Tie everything back to profitability. One of the big things that I am big on for a hairstylist is I do not want it to tie back to anything about charging your worth, which if you actually just ask ChatGPT without any training, how do I increase my prices? Literally the first thing is like, you should be able to charge what you're worth. So that's one of the key components of the things that we don't have in here. Don't do guilt-based messaging, no comparative pricing. I don't really believe in competitor pricing. Other things that it looks at, it tells like what this GPT should do. So it answers questions in real time. It gives them answers based on profitability, retention, and growth. And again, it goes back to some of the competitors. And then it breaks down each area of what I wanted to talk about and how I wanted to talk about that particular thing. And then lastly, the big things is you can give free resources. So remember how this can be like a sales tool. So at the end of every question, you can give them a link to like a lead magnet. So if they're talking about profitability, it gives them a link to our website so they can sign up to use our tool for free. If it talks about wanting to know like how much money you're making, we have a profitability quiz. Find out if you're losing money. Last one is you want to increase your prices, but you don't know how to do that. We have a profit challenge quiz. So then it gives them a link to go take our profit challenge. So pretty much every area that this custom GPT is trained on, we have a free resource that it spits out. Now, I know I gave a lot of information on there. The other thing you can do is you can have conversation starters. So I want to have these things that prompt them. Am I making money off of every service, right? That might be a question that they want to know. And when they finish, it's going to then go to that profitability quiz. Are you making money off of every service? So everything ties into those kinds of prompts. The next thing is, and we're going to talk a lot about this, is a knowledge base. You can upload as much knowledge as you want into this knowledge base. And so you'll see like this one is a PDF around questions that people, when I coach them, ask me. They're literally like 100 questions. And then my answers. I actually use ChatGPT to create that as well. It has our brand. It has our brand guide, what we believe in, who we are, how we look at things. It has a hiring guide. It has a consultation guide. It has a hiring guide for hiring an assistant. So pretty much I have made some sort of PDF or a group of PDFs to train not just the GPT to understand how to answer the questions, but also to be resources for the stylist that they can download. And that's pretty much the overall basis. So let's show it in action. We'll go, am I making money off of every service? So it's probably going to spit out asking me questions. So it's searching the knowledge base. So it's searching everything that's there. And it says, you haven't calculated your break-even point or profit or service. You actually won't know if you're making money off every service. Most stylists think they are, but when they break down their numbers, they're often losing money. So really quick steps. It tells you to know your numbers. It tells you to look at the break-even point. It gives you some examples, right? Then it says, you want to do this without a spreadsheet? Go to getliquid.ai, which is our actual software, and they can try it for free. So this kind of moves someone through the sales funnel into our product. Now, what's really cool is I really don't use this custom GPT anymore. Because our actual GPT does that. And they can talk to it 24/7. But this is how I started. So if you're thinking of ways to make more money or to have a custom GPT that can work with your clients, this is a great way to build that. So I'm going to take a pause because I gave a lot of information. And I want to see if anyone has any questions about this before I move on to how you would do like the common mistakes that are made. You can just unmute yourself. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, yes, thank you. This is amazing. So my question is, when you create the GPT, can you make it private so that everybody publicly can't access it?
Absolutely, you can. So what you would do is, let me go back to the top. This little share button, you can share. So mine is public now. But you can share only with you. You can share with the link, or you can put it in the store. Ours is in the GPT store because we have an API. So an API is like a plugin where it feeds into the GPT that we own. But for you, you could have it where anyone with the link. So then it would create a link. Then you can copy the link and then you can give it to people. The thing that if you do that, the thing I would give the disclaimer is like, we know and we track if people give this out, right? You really cannot. So you're just trusting that your clients wouldn't give it out to someone if you're doing it on like as an add-on to a paid thing that you have. But great question. I hope that answers it for you, Jennifer.
It did answer for me. And then my last question is, do,
Absolutely.
do you offer creating this as a product like you have as a service, or just let us know how to go down that path? I don't know if you're going to get there at the end, but that's where my mind is right now. Like, oh, I can finally duplicate me. So that's what I'm.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask a clarifying question. So are you asking me like, can I personally build just a custom GPT for you? Or are you asking me, can I build, like, do I offer as a service to build like our actual software?
Exactly, the software
Okay,
portion.
so I don't do the software portion because truly like the software portion is so much more in depth. And I could show you really quick because the software portion is actually it is housed on our own platform. So it is housed through Google Cloud and an actual engineer built all the code that makes it run. So it's totally different and the functionality is different than like a custom GPT. I'll give you a quick and let me see. I'll show you. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to. Now y'all gonna get, I'm going behind the curtain for real. Um, so this is our team Slack. Let me go to my pins. And like I said, this one will, our V2 will be open to the public in April 1. So this is what someone would come to that looks a little bit different than like your custom GPT. So it's an actual platform. So a stylist would come here now and they would register. They create an email. And anytime and I know we're doing some updates, so I will see how much this really works. Our engineer told us this morning that he was doing some stuff. So we'll see how much we'll get in. So they'll be able to create an account. And then they'll come into it. So you'll see that this is actually like branded with liquid. It's asking you how we can help you. So this AI assistant is the chat that looks like your custom GPT, but this is the one that we made. So you'll see, remember those suggested prompts? How can I improve my revenue? Ideas for summer promotions. How do I manage my inventory? And then the stylist would talk into here. So it's a little bit different. So you just click on it. And then it's thinking, and we'll see if this part works. I know this is what we were working on today. Cool. So what's interesting about it is it's showing us in engineering like where they're pulling things from. But what makes ours super cool is that it'll ask you questions. So it'll say, what services do you offer? Do you know your current retention rate? And what strategies have you tried in the past? And then you'll answer those questions. But in the meantime, it kind of spits out some things that you could do. And then ours also has like a calculator, which honestly, this calculator can be used for any service-based business. So if you all want to go create an account, you could use it too. But basically, the stylist is able to put in their monthly expenses, fixed and variable, for their business. They're able to put in their monthly expenses, fixed and variable, for their salon. And then they're able to put in what we call like a dream lifestyle. That dream lifestyle is like in the next 12 months, if you wanted to create some things, what would they be? And then they put in their average monthly income, and then what week, how many hours they're behind the chair, a month, how many hours they work per day. And then we actually calculate their pricing for them. And we tell them how much they should charge and why. And they're able to take this information. It talks to our assistant, and then it helps them make decisions around everything from pricing to client experience. So I know that was a very long answer, Jennifer. So I couldn't help you do the software. I'm absolutely available to help you create a custom GPT that you could have a link for to use. And I think Cheryl has a question.
How do you integrate? Thank you, Chrystal. Before I ask my question, this is phenomenal insight that you're sharing. How
Absolutely.
can you integrate the Chat GPT with like an existing website, WordPress or otherwise? Is that something that my developer would do, or is there a plugin to
Um,
have that, if you will, 24-hour support to what you're creating?
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to clarify, Cheryl, is I am a non-tech person. So I think when people talk to me like, oh, I know a lot. So to answer your question, I bet you could create a Zap. So Zap is, are you familiar with Zaps?
I've heard of it, yes,
Okay.
but I'm not
So,
familiar. I've heard of it.
okay. So what you could probably do is you could make a Zap that connects that link to the custom GPT that sits on your website. And you could probably even go where there's a way that it just connects to the back end. But um, I'm 100% sure. And you can, one of the things we talked about, you can even ask ChatGPT. You can say, grounded in what you're doing. So you can say, I have created a custom GPT and I want to integrate it into my website, which is Squarespace. Walk me through it step by step with non-tech jargon, and then give me any videos or resources to help me do that. So that's kind of what the prompt would look like. So I hope I answered your question, Cheryl.
Yeah, thank you. And Jennifer
Okay,
said if GPT gives me the code, then I
okay,
would be able to
perfect.
do this. Thank you. Thanks,
Yes,
Jennifer.
absolutely. Okay, and David said embedded. So look, everybody, look, we got some tech people who are techier um than me. Okay, so we'll dive back into, I'm gonna stop sharing this screen and and go back to where we are within the presentation. Okay, so as we talked about, you really won't need you really won't need a code when you're making that. You really just need to understand what job your custom GPT is doing. You will need the docs to feed it, and then you will need to know like how you want it to respond. The big things that I often don't hear people do is giving it a personality. So you want to make sure that it has a personality. You want to make sure that you feed it all of your templates, your SOPs, your emails. There is not too much information that you could feed the custom GPT. And the difference with people often say, okay, what does, and we actually already did that. So I showed you all how to use it. People will often say to me, well, why can't I just use my regular GPT? And the reason why you can't use your regular GPT is because it is skipping over your own data. And it has a horrible memory. And if you don't teach it right, it won't serve you right. So again, a lot of the answers that it'll give you are very generic. It's not catered to your business at all. And honestly, what a lot of people don't get is ChatGPT is smart, but it's forgetful. It actually does not have a memory at all. And it forgets a lot of things. So even if you grounded your GPT or you have within the platform of your GPT, like what it serves as and what it does, and you gave it a personality, if you switch between the tasks that you're doing with your GPT, it will forget one thing to the next, right? So my GPT, like I use it for everything related to liquid. I might ask it a question about the grocery store, and then I'll come back to ask it a question about liquid, and it'll intermingle those things. So when you have the custom GPT, breaking it out into different things and talking to it in that manner, it'll remember because those are the only conversations, and it's way more grounded in what it's doing. So when you're giving a prompt as to like why the memory like why it matters, you want to make sure that you have clarity. So you have to be clear and concise, avoid ambiguousness altogether. You have to make sure there's a context. Providing a background information helps the AI understand the situation or relevant responses. Make sure you define what you're looking for. General prompts can lead to general answers, right? So the more specific you are, the better. And one of the things I say, like, give it a goal. So ask it for 3 examples of a pricing strategy based on my current market trends is more actionable than say, give me some pricing strategies, right? And then you want to keep it simple. Too much detail can overwhelm it and dilute the focus. So stick to what's necessary. So that's why if you have these custom GPTs, you're sticking to what's very specific to that GPT. So I currently have in my personal one, I have 3 GPTs. So as a founder of a software company, we do fundraising. When you fundraise, that language, when you're talking to an investor, is a completely different language than when I am talking to a hairstylist. And so if I use my GPT for like the marketing and I ask it a question about what liquid does, the answer is going to be like, it's an AI assistant for hairstylists and it pays for itself. Like for a investor, that sounds great, but that doesn't mean the money that I'm getting back. So in my custom GPT, that is my investor advisor, its answer is Liquid is a decision engine for a $63 billion industry that focuses on data for hair salons. 2 completely different answers, same exact question, but because I trained it differently, it's going to give me a different answer. Okay, so now it's saying, so the next thing we're going to dive into is really saying it's time for you all to start now. So I'm going to give you 3 areas that you can start using a custom GPT for you as an individual. Like this is like I've showed you all how I used it to like make money. And I gave you some examples of how I used it as a founder of a software company, but I'm going to give you 3 areas where you can use it right now. operations. So emails, workflows, reminders. You would have a custom GPT that is operations. Then you would have a custom GPT that's marketing. And then you would have a custom GPT that's profit. So that profit one may be like what I kind of showed you all today. So your first one, if you did it around operations, it could write and send appointment confirmation emails that match your tone. It could reply to later rescheduled appointments. It could know your policies. It could create SOPs if you're onboarding a new team member. It could generate a daily task based on your business flow or your calendar. It can detect gaps in if you were to upload your calendar for a week, even if you just took a picture and put it in there, it could detect gaps in there. It could tell you how you can prioritize your time better. And how we talked about Zaps and APIs, you can actually make a Zap that goes to your Google Calendar, and it can help you fill like empty slots. Like if you're doing sales, it can help you think about what you can do in that time frame based on what you're looking for. Okay, say if you wanted to use it for marketing, right? So it could batch 30 days of social media content with CTAs that match your vibe. It could create a drip campaign for you around offers, education, re-engagement. It could write captions for you. It could do content calendars. It could suggest reels based on what's trending. And if you actually upload like your brand guide, it can even create content to create a rhythm around like if you have a launch going on. And then the last one around profit. So think about like helping with your pricing, budgeting, or creating an offer. So it could audit your pricing versus your time. So you could tell it like, this is what I'm charging, and then give it your calendar, and it could show you like if there's some misalignment with like how much time you're spending on a thing versus how much you're charging for a thing. It could suggest new pricing tiers. It can write scripts if you're going to go into a sales meeting and you know maybe some of the objections that you've seen, you know the brand and what's important to them. You can connect it to like if you have an Excel spreadsheet or a P&L, it can analyze like where you're spending too much money at. So you can do this custom GPT can do all of those things if you upload it into what we talked about. So again, how you train it, you're going to upload SOPs, your policies, your pricing, your emails, use real-time conversations to like test it. One of the things that I do often is I live in Facebook groups that are for hairstylists. That's one of our B2B sales. And what I do in there is I go in, and it's about 40,000 hairstylists in there. And every day somebody's got a question. And so I go and I spend about 20 minutes a day answering questions. And the way I test our software is I will think to myself, okay, this is how I would answer the question. And then I would type that same question into our software and see how it answers the question. And what's super cool is say it didn't come up with the right answer. I would take what I put and then put it in there and say, this is how you would answer this question instead of that. It adds it to his memory. And because it's a custom GPT, it's going to remember that versus that big, long GPT that we use for everything. And then tweak it to the responses that you like best. Treat it like it's an employee. So the bottom line is that, yes, this is going to take time, energy, and effort, right? It's not going to happen overnight. But the return on investment is huge. If you use AI, I promise you, it'll save you 3 to 4 hours a week. Me and my head of product, we laugh because our custom GPTs know us so well that we can just type in something and I'm like, make me a whole playbook. And then we can go over it together. And the amount of time it probably would have taken me to create a 5-page playbook, typing it out, not only like brainstorming, typing it out and then like checking it for clarity would have been, I'd say 2 hours. The amount of time it would take me with a custom GPT, I would say 20 minutes. And one of the things that I do with my GPT, I literally hate typing, like literally despise it. So I talk to it. So a lot of times I just correct it via talking, using my microphone to talk directly to it. But bottom line is start now this is not going anywhere. Like I said, I have been using GPT since 2022. And what I will tell you all, at no way, shape, or form did I ever think about building a software tool. Never, not ever. But when I got so good at using it, and then I was like, huh, this would work really well with this. It led me to here. And as a founder of a software company, we're a venture capital backed company. We've raised $500,000 for funding to make this happen. So you never know what ideas will inspire you as you're starting to learn. The big thing is this is not going anywhere. So even if you're not a tech person, finding ways to use this, the return on investment is tenfold. 30 to 50% decisions faster, cutting down your admin time. It frees you up to breathe, to create, to do a bunch more stuff. So you're probably asking yourself, like, are you ready? If you are guessing, if you're juggling roles, if you say, man, I wish I had help more than one time a week, you can handle it. You can do this. You can play with it. What's really cool is you can have two tabs open, and it's teaching you how to do the thing on the other side. So I don't know what your intention was when this class started, but I hope that your intention today, right? Because I believe in taking action today, is to get a paid GPT account and start either playing with it or start building out a custom GPT. Don't overthink it. Pick one area of your business, build your first GPT agent, and see how it feels. The more you play with it, the better it gets. The more you train it, the better it'll be. So I am going to stop talking and stop sharing my screen and open it up for any Q&As. Thank you all so much for being here.
We do have a question. There's one, Kimberly asked, how long did it take you to create Liquid AI from concept to market?
So I'll share some backstory. So what's really funny about Liquid is that it really wasn't a concept that I didn't step into it as a business. Literally, I was using AI, and I had lunch with a friend who is now my head of people, and she was like, "Girl, what you doing now? I know you coaching all these salon owners. What are you doing?" And I was like, really, I'm coaching them, but there needs to be like a solution that understands their data and helps them make decisions. And she was like, "Oh, you should pitch this idea at Startup Weekend." This was a Thursday. Startup Weekend was Friday, which was the next day. And I went to go buy a ticket for Startup Weekend. So Startup Weekend is basically Silicon Valley comes to, at this time I was in Missouri, comes to Missouri, and people pitch a tech idea. And then you spend 72 hours building the tech idea, and then someone wins prize money at the end. I didn't read any of the small print. She told me she was like, you should apply. She actually gifted me her ticket because there was no more tickets left. That was Thursday. Friday, I pitched. I was selected out of 150 people to be one of the 10 teams that build for the 72 hours. We built for 72 hours, and then you pitch to judges. Actually, what's super cool, one of the judges is the creator of Zapier. And so we pitched, I actually won. Honestly, all I thought I won was $5,000. And I had no intention on like dealing with. That night we were at a celebratory party, and a gentleman came up to me and he was like, "I'm your attorney." And I was like, "Oh, I already got an attorney." He was like, "No, attorney that creates the corporation for your company." And I was like, I don't know what he was talking about. So I just kind of let go. And then instead I called my friend, and I was like, "Girl, this man came up to me talking about he my attorney." And she was like, "You remember I told you?" I was like, "No, I don't remember that part at all." And so that was March of 2023. Liquid was created as we are a C corporation. That was created in May of 2023. We had our first product in market in January of 2024. We onboarded our first users, March, about 100. And then from there, we have onboarded, like I said, about 500. And we'll have V2 that comes out in April. And one thing about tech that's super interesting is every time you build something, there's a different version. You test it, you add features. It is the longest process ever. And as a founder, you're required not to work for most people who are investing in you. So it's been super interesting for me because luckily I sold a salon that made a profit to fund like living and building. So I hope that answers the question. That was like super long, but yeah.
What is your email again to get the slides?
My email is Chrystal at liquidhairinstitute.com. And I'm wondering if I'll drop it in the chat so you have it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, that's perfect. So everybody who's dropped your email in the chat, there's no way on this end for us to save the chat. So if you just make sure you email Chrystal for these slides, you'll be good to go.
And then, actually, yeah, okay, that's fine. Just make sure that the title says like slide request. And that way my executive assistant can do that for me.
My question is Chat GPT, when you're using it the way that you're using it, is it a bot or because I want a interactive person like me, similar to my personality, responding to my clients, and I think of that as being like a bot. So is Chat GPT representative of that?
Absolutely. So all the term bot is like, so we're used to chat bots, right? So we go on a website, immediately a chat bot pops up, you're talking to it. You can get more in depth with those chat bots. So even those chat bots are ultimately, they're custom trained to respond based on that business's personality, their policies and procedures. So that is the exact same.
Okay, I have another question. So in Chat GPT, you know how you can create a project and you can kind of simulate the same thing as a GPT. What's the difference between the two when it comes to the memory and the intelligence part?
So what I would say is I have both, and I did not love projects. So I feel like projects, if you notice when you create a project, you don't actually get to configure it, right? Versus like when you look at the custom GPT, you saw how I was able to like configure it and then add resources. I feel like with the project, it's almost, to me, it reminds me of just working in a regular GPT, but now I have like a folder for it. So I personally prefer the custom GPT, and mostly because I'm able to configure it with way more prompts, I would say, or maybe more personality to ground it in what I'm doing every single time. And what I also like about the GPT is one of the things that we do as a team. So there's someone else who does my marketing. But I've been using this GPT for so long, I didn't want to create another GPT that was marketing. So I was able to give them a link to my custom GPT, and now they can use that on their computer and create marketing content. If you have a project, you can't really share that in that way.
Okay, I understand. So GPT would be better. Just to give you some background, I also sell software, but we have the AI voice and the conversations, the AI attached to conversations. And so when I'm setting that up for my customers, I have to ask them for that knowledge-based information, their brand guide, their brand information, and all of this stuff. And then, so now I can make a GPT where we could just plug that information in per customer and it spit out their prompt based on, we had a prompt script too. So I was thinking of doing it that way to help us from having to manually do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask, yep, I understand. So I'm gonna ask you a deeper question. Like, how tech savvy are you?
I have a degree in IT.
Okay, so instead of, and this is just for you, there's something called Langbase. I'll drop it in the chat. I would look at Langbase. So Lang Base is going to allow you to do the same. You can upload code, you can upload the voices. And okay, let me make sure before I say that. Are you wanting to give them a custom GPT that they can use?
No, because they not techie either.
Okay,
No,
so
what I'm setting up their AI agents for their business. I'm doing it for them.
okay. So what do you give them? Like, is the AI, where does the AI agent function at? Like on their website? Like, where does it live?
So couple places. It does function on their website, on their chat widget, but it's also answering their phone. So I'm
Interesting. So,
programming the back end of it with their business information. So when people call, it can respond to them intelligently and based off of their business.
okay. And then what are you using now?
To train it, Google Docs.
Okay, okay. So, and then are you just putting the Google Docs into your software that you own?
Yeah, so that,
Okay.
but also as the knowledge base, but then also I still have to go in and I'm not looking for voices, Dave. I already got that. I'm looking for the prompt. So I have the prompt, but right now we're manually plugging information in. So I'm just looking for ways to make it better where I can have it create me a entire prompt based off of what I do. And then based off the business, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
So I feel like you could. I feel like you could configure a GPT for each one. Like it would have the same job, and then the configuration would be what you're wanting it to do. And then the output would be, I'm gonna give you all this information on a particular client. And then I want you to generate I would say like a text-based knowledge that I can upload into my software system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think now listen, disclaimer, I'm not tech
I
person,
know.
so I
I
feel
can
like
let
that's how it
you
works.
and take the tech part. I'll take the
Yeah.
tech part. You just explain it. I got the tech part.
Okay.
I got you, but
Yes.
thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Any other questions? We got 5 minutes. If not, I'll give y'all 5 minutes of time. I am gonna drop my LinkedIn here because I would love to connect with you all outside of here. And I am a member of ABC, so if you are there, it's a great place to be. And then there's my LinkedIn as well. Because I will with the emails, I will 100% send you over the slides. My only request is that you all don't share them with anybody. But if you start asking me questions in the email, I will not answer.
Sure.
Just full
Hey, Chrystal, I
transparency.
had a quick question about the steps for creating the AI agent.
Mhm.
Is that laid out in your slides, or is there somewhere where we can find just like the quick steps that you took with like providing it purpose and all those things?
So they will be in the slides. That part, the SCQ part of it is in the slides. But you're asking like you want to know like the step of like go to the top, go to my custom. Is that the steps that you're asking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay. It's not in the slides. It's not in the slides, but I will have, if you request it, I'll have my assistant add that to as a document that's like the step-by-step of making the custom GPT within your GPT. Oh, that's a
Thank
lot
you.
of GPTs. Absolutely, my pleasure.
I just want if David would explain his question about the 11 tabs, his statement about the 11 tabs from Dave Smith.
I believe he was saying that Chrystal offered an alternative of Lang-based to accomplish all of that. Oh, go ahead, Dave. You
Yeah.
can go.
Yeah, I was 11 Labs is a company that's a great company that does voice agents, and I build them as well. I'll put my information in the link. I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but I'm pretty good at building AI voice agents. So the question that I believe, where is she at? The other person, I can't remember her name, but we both know David Sands and stuff like that. But a lot of times, if you need to collect information, you need to put that information in what's a language model. So inside of 11 Labs, they have voice agents now, which are fairly affordable. You can take any documentation, a PDF about your company or that person's company, and just upload it into their database, and it will be able to respond. It'll answer questions from that database. It's not that hard. The technology has gotten pretty no code and user friendly. So if you have any questions, I'll put my information in the chat, and I can help guide you through that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Chrystal, you were beyond amazing.
Oh,
Phenomenal.
thank you. Thank you.
Sparkling, amazing, black one, like all the adjectives to talk about your excellence. You're amazing. You're just, I'm here for it. And so everybody, y'all need to tell her, drop in the chat, give her roses now. Not only did she give you information that's going to allow you to make money in your sleep by teaching you how to create an AI agent that creates leads for your business, but also behind the scenes work of what it looks like to really dive deep and have a whole platform created. So she was dropping things that people pay money for, okay? I want you to hear me when I say this. She was dropping information that people pay money for, and good money, very good money. So I am so, so happy, Chrystal, that you said yes to leading a webinar this month. It was on point. Again, y'all, before we close out, if you want her slides, you've got to email her, put slide request in the subject line, and do not expect a consultation. So don't start asking her questions. She's running a business. She's venture funded, okay? She's growing her startup. So do not expect a consultation for free in her email inbox, but absolutely use the slides, make money, because that's what we're all about this year, scaling and growing our revenue. I'm so happy y'all joined us today. And Chrystal, do you have any last words?
No, I just really appreciated being here. I told them when we first started, this was my first time doing this class. Super excited to do it again. Please, 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 reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Chrystal Graves, and I would love to connect with you all. And, yeah, I think the biggest thing I always say is that, be of resources to each other. Like everything that I have learned and do is because it started with networking. So being a part of ABC, being a part of a community, your network is your net worth. And so just please reach out, please connect with each other, and start today. Whatever that intention was, do it today. And I just thank each and every one of you for being here.
All right, we'll see you next